Hello, Facebook land. Hi. So I wanted to do a quick video today. I wonder if my headphones are working actually. I just realised I don't think I turned them on. Oh no, they're working. Okay, good. So I wanted to do a really quick video today. Now you may hear kids yelling and playing in the background. It's a little bit of a drizzly overcast day here today, and we've got some of the neighbours' kids over playing with my kids, which is really lovely. And it led me to, obviously we're in school holidays here in New South Wales. Hi, Barbara. We're in school holidays here in New South Wales at the moment. And I know for many mums and for many women, we really embrace the opportunity to spend a couple of weeks with our kids. And it's beautiful and it's fantastic when we can do that. For other mums, it's not always such a pleasant experience. Oh, from Ontario. Hi. And Lavelle, hello. I hope I've said that right. Thank you so much for joining. So I wanted to talk today about how that negative head talk can distract us from the real world. When we get lost in thinking negative, destructive, or sabotaging thoughts, what tends to happen is we create a tunnel effect of reality. Now, what I mean by that is because of what you're thinking in your head, the reality that you perceive as happening in your real world is a reflection of whatever those thoughts might be. So let's say you are a mum at home with your kids right now and you're maybe having a challenging couple of days because it's the first few days of school holidays. They're excited, they're wanting to do things. They're not quite at that bored stage yet, but they're wanting your attention. And as a result of that, you start thinking things in your head like, I should be giving them more time. I should be doing something different. I don't feel like I control them. Maybe I'm not a good enough mum for them. Whatever you're thinking are your thoughts. But as a result of those thoughts that you're thinking, you start to see a reality that supports those thoughts. And the funny thing about that reality that you perceive is that it is stacked upon until it becomes the only thing that you see. So you create this really distinct tunnel that distorts the real reality. And it distorts it in a way that supports only those negative, sabotaging and destructive thoughts. Now, obviously, if you're thinking positively, that is the reality that you're experiencing as well. And that's why, the common advice of think positive and just replace all the negative with something that makes you feel good is so broadly given, because it's really good advice to have. However, it's not always the easy advice to implement, is it? Because if you're thinking something negative, it's not a simple matter sometimes of just flicking the switch and changing that negative story to something positive. A lot of the time, I know for me personally, when I was in the midst of just trying to force positive thinking, I would often identify what bullshit I was telling myself. I'd replace it with something positive, and then there'd be this deep little voice inside that'd say, BS, Bree, you are so full of it. You don't even believe what you're telling yourself. So why on earth is anything going to change? And it's that deep inner voice that is really your BS. That's what's really destroying or consuming and preventing a different reality from showing up. And so this is ultimately what led me to build Own Your BS and to start building it as a movement that hopefully encourages more everyday women to start paying attention to firstly what it is they're saying to themselves, but secondly, do something more constructive than just think positive. Because the reality is you are thinking what you're thinking because it is driven by a feeling. The Female Brain, and I'm rereading a really great book at the moment. It's called The Female Brain by Louanne Brizardine, I think her surname is. I can never pronunciate it right. However, it's a really great book. And it's just reiterating some of what I already know about the female brain. And that is that every story we have stems from an emotion that is felt deep within the body. Now, when we combine that knowledge of the female brain with what we also know with epigenetics, which proves up to 15 generations of emotional baggage are inherited from one generation to the next, 15 generations. The emotions that you as a woman feel are so deeply ingrained in who you are that is what drives that cycle of negative thinking. And the only way that we can start to break that habit of negative thinking is to pay attention to it and take it deeper to the root cause, to that emotion. And then use tangible strategies and tools to really break the cycle. It's not just good enough to say think positive. And for those of you who are watching right now, I'm going to bet that you agree with me. If it was just a simple matter of thinking positive, you'd be doing it, wouldn't you? And chances are you'd be experiencing and creating the life that you want for yourself. If it was that easy though, why aren't we all experiencing that? Why aren't we all creating and having more of the life that we desire? It's because ultimately that feeling is charging your head talk. So my mission in 2018 is to help you to empower your negative head talk, to turn that negative head talk into something that is firstly more neutral and then builds into something that is more positive. And we do that through Own Your BS, the book. We do that through Own Your BS, the podcast, and we'll be doing that on the 28th of April for the workshop that I'm running locally here in Newcastle, New South Wales. Now, this workshop is something that I then plan on extending out to some wider regions. So the Central Coast and Sydney are my next point of calls, and then potentially into other regions. But firstly, if you're local to Newcastle, please feel free to jump on board and join me for a really great 2 hours on the 28th of April. Because it's about time we do something different. Just thinking positive, just ignoring the truth of what you feel, what you think, is not going to change the reality that you're experiencing. It's going to continue to distract you and drag you away from everything that is possible in your world right now. So as always, I'm going to encourage you right now. Maybe I've set off a few light bulbs and you're thinking, yep, I know that I've got negative BS thinking, Bree, but what are we going to do about that? So what I'm going to encourage you to do right now to break that negative cycle, to revisit, to reframe the way you're seeing your world right now, is I'm going to encourage you to, once this video closes, I'm going to encourage you to walk outside. And what I want you to do is look up into either a tree that is in your backyard or a tree that's in the street near where you are, a window that's high above your normal line of vision. And I want you to focus in on that one stationary point immediately in front of you, but slightly above eye level. Now, the very act of just looking up lifts your chin and forces your shoulders to go back. So physiologically, you start to change the overall tone of how you feel. You cannot feel negative when you're looking up. You just can't. It does not happen. Just can't work. So look up, find something above you to focus in on, and then while you're looking at that, start to pay attention to everything that you can see on the outside of your vision. So the corner of your eyes, what else can you see while looking up all around you? The very act of doing this activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which shuts down the limbic system in your brain. Now, the limbic system for women is the limbic system is the emotional control center of the brain, but for women, it is larger than it is in men. So this is why you get so caught up emotionally in the thoughts in your head. So by looking up, by taking in as much of the world as you possibly can, by expanding that tunnel so that you're seeing a wider scope, what you're going to be doing is shutting down that emotional control center, which is going to help you to take a breath. It's going to shut up the head talk. And from that calm point of view, I then want you to ask yourself this one question for today. What is it that I want to do today? What do I want to do that's going to bring me happiness or joy or laughter? And then go and do that one thing. And every single time you feel yourself getting sucked back up into that vortex of negative bullshit thinking, remember to lift your head, find something to focus on above you, and then expand the space. Pay attention to the noises that you can hear. Pay attention to everything that you can see, everything that you can smell in that space. And you will change your reality. You will start to see that everything you've been worrying about, everything you've been stressing about or feeling overwhelmed about is really not that big a deal. Because outside of those concerns, there's a great big world out there that you're missing because you're buying into the bullshit. So I hope that it inspires you today to get out of your head. Now, this is, of course, just one very, very simple strategy, and it's not addressing the charge of your head talk, but it is the first step in a really good direction towards you building emotional control and confidence from negative thinking. And like I said, if you're local, come join me at the workshop on the 28th. If you're not local, grab a copy of my book, Own Your BS. I will send it anywhere in the world, free post. It's $19.95 Australian dollars. I will send it to you anywhere in the world to help you to get out of your head. And if you're a podcast listener, be sure to check out my podcast, Own Your BS. They've got episode 3 is being released tomorrow on Wednesday, Australian time. So there are plenty of resources available to you right now to get out of your head, to reframe that negative thinking and to start to refocus on the world around you. The question is, are you choosing to buy into the BS, or are you going to own it and do something different? Have a fantastic day. Enjoy school holidays if you're a mama in New South Wales and you've got your kids at home for the next couple of weeks. If your kids have just gone back to school, enjoy the peace and quiet or the normal world that comes back when they go back to school. And if you're not a mama, but you're a woman who has big dreams and goals and desires for herself, then get out there and start chasing it. Stop letting those doubts and insecurities get in the way, because that is the only thing that stops you from being successful, is the way that you think about yourself. So thank you. Oh, Barbara, we have fantastic initials. BS, that's where Only BS kind of came from, because I used to say I was full of bullshit, and I was, and now I'm not so much, but I help other people to get out of that space as well. Kim, thank you so much for joining me. Denim, thank you. I'm glad that made sense. And Antoinette, as always, thank you for your support and love. Have a fantastic afternoon, everybody, and I look forward to connecting with you all again very soon. Mwah. See yous.